Seed starting season is one of the most wonderful times of the year, but because of some common mistakes, it can also be a really stressful time. So let's talk today about some of the most common mistakes you can make when starting seeds and how to avoid them. A super common mistake that I'm guilty of making when it comes to starting seeds is just starting them too soon. The reason this happens is because I plan out my garden in the winter time, and then I get really eager about getting my seeds started. I'm also not doing next season's plants any favors by starting them too soon. It always looks great at the start, so I can get my seeds sown into my tray and I get great germination, and I'm super excited about how they're starting to grow. And then I'll even pot them up into larger pots so they can continue to grow. But as time drags on and the plants continue to grow, I look outside and I realize it's still not even close to time for me to get these plants transplanted into the garden. And I already have plants that are starting to outgrow the pots that they've been potted up into. They might look tall and spindly, they could look super stressed out, and it's possible that they're even starting to get root bound, just overgrowing the containers that they're in. So while as gardeners, we want to take full advantage of the plants that we're growing, if we start too soon, we're kind of overcorrecting, and we're doing more harm than good. The earlier we start our plants doesn't really make a difference with respect to harvest if we can't get our plants actually transplanted out into the garden on time. The goal isn't for us to go from seed to seedling to mature plant before we get things transplanted out into the garden. If you grow a plant to maturity before you can get it outside, then you started it too soon. Plants want to be outdoors, and we do what we can when we start seeds inside by tricking them a little bit with some of the conditions that they need in order to get started. But the conditions that we can provide indoors are nothing compared to the ideal conditions that the plants will benefit from outside. Inside, you're not going to give them the light or the space or the airflow that they need to truly thrive. In truth, most crops need far less lead time than we think. Again, the goal isn't to go from seed to seedling to mature plant before we get things outdoors. Actually, a seedling that's the right size at the right time will adapt to your garden much more easily. The solution is fairly straightforward. Just start your seeds a little bit later. And typically that's going to be determined by your area's last frost date. Now, that could be a big range, but take a look and see what the averages have been for the last 5 years, and that can help you figure out when is the best time for you to get your seeds started. The back of seed packets typically do a pretty good job with some general guidance for both date ranges for direct sowing, but also for when you should start your seeds indoors. So the back of a seed packet might say something like sow indoors 4 to 6 weeks before last frost. And that can be good guidance with a pretty big caveat. The seed packet guidance does not include hardening off time. So you're going to want to give yourself a week or two on top of that timing that the seed packets give you, so you can account for the time that it's going to take to transition your plants from inside to outside. The next common seed starting mistake is using too old of seeds or seeds that weren't stored properly. Even if you nail the timing and you have your technique down for starting seeds, if you're using anything that's old or anything that just was stored improperly, you're probably going to struggle with some germination rates. What I'm not saying is to check the dates on the back of your seed packet, and if that date has passed, to throw them out because they're not going to be any good. That's absolutely not true. If you store your seeds well, they can actually store for years and maintain viability and pretty good germination rates. I actually have packets of seeds that are upwards of 8 and 9 years old that I use seeds from those packets every single year. And I only use a few of those seeds a year, and if the pack comes with 30 seeds, then that pack could last me upwards of 10 years. Now, of course, I need to recognize that eventually the seeds are going to age out, and my germination rates probably aren't going to be super great. But it doesn't bother me because I know that I store my seeds well. So I recommend storing your seeds in a cool, dry place. And if you have some sort of container that you can put them in, then you can use that and just put it somewhere that's out of the way, that doesn't get hit with a bunch of bright light and doesn't get too warm. And your seeds should do absolutely fine. I don't recommend storing your seeds anywhere that it's humid or warm or bright. That's not going to be great for your seeds. But if you can get your seeds into something like labeled paper envelopes and put those envelopes into a container and store that container somewhere that's dimly lit and is relatively cool and dry, your seeds should be lasting you quite some time. Now, there are also ways for you to check on seed viability and germination rates before you go through the trouble of sowing your seeds at the beginning of the season. So one of the things you might want to do, especially if you have some seeds that are a little bit older or you're unsure that they have been stored super properly, you could just get a wet paper towel with a little bit of warm water and wring it out. You don't want it to be super wet. You just want it to be damp, and you want to place about 10 of your seeds into that paper towel. Fold the paper towel over and then slide that paper towel into a plastic zip top bag and put it somewhere out of light but with some relative warmth. And you want it to just sort of sit for a few days. Check every once in a while, and after a week or so, when you open it up, you should start to see that some of the seeds have begun to sprout. And that's going to be your sign that those seeds that you still have are still viable. You can also count the number of seeds that have sprouted, and that's going to give you an indication of your germination rate. So if you do this with 10 seeds and 8 of them sprout, you know that you have about an 80% germination rate for these seeds. Not too bad, and you could definitely use those seeds for your seed starting efforts this season. But if only half or even less than half of the seeds have sprouted, then you're probably going to want to just go ahead and buy a new pack of seeds for the coming season. Now, even if your seeds are good, if your growing medium isn't, you're going to have struggles with germination and with overall plant health. So you want to make sure that the soil mix that you're using for starting your seeds is one that's of good quality. You don't want to use things like heavy clay or garden soil. And you also want to avoid things like used potting mix. Used potting mix that you just get out of a pot that an old plant had been in isn't going to have any nutrition in it, and the structure and texture of that mix isn't going to be optimal for your seedlings. What you're looking for in a growing medium when starting seeds is something that has a nice light texture. You want good aeration, drainage, and water retention. And you can achieve these things with bagged potting mix, which is going to have things like either peat or cocoa coir, vermiculite, perlite, a little bit of food, but it's also going to have some forest products in there. So you might end up getting some sticks and some twigs that might get in the way of your seedlings. I like to make my own mix, and it only has 4 ingredients: cocoa coir, perlite, vermiculite, and a little bit of slow-release organic fertilizer. I find that that is the best growing medium for my seedlings. They sprout really well, and as soon as they sprout, they start to get a little bit of food. Now, you don't want to overdo it on the fertilizer end because these seedlings are super tender. So if you're going to add anything like a liquid fertilizer, you probably want to dilute it pretty well before applying it to your seedlings. But something slow release is absolutely fine. It takes some time to break down in the growing medium, and it's not going to harm your tender seedlings by having it in there. You also want to make sure whether you're using a bagged potting mix or a seed starting mix, or if you're making your own mixture at home, that you pre-moisten it before you put it into the cells. If you don't pre-moisten your mix, it can be pretty hydrophobic. So that means that it's going to repel water. So if you fill your cells with dry seed starting mix or potting mix, and then you sow your seeds, the second you water, the water is going to start to separate from the mix, and the seeds are going to end up floating all over the place. So do yourself a favor, and before you put your starting mix into your cells, just pre-moisten it. You don't want it to be soggy. You don't want to be able to grab a handful of it and squeeze and have water drip out of it. You want the moisture content to be like a damp, wrung-out sponge. But it's super important that the growing medium you use has a nice, airy, fluffy texture. That's going to help support the seed's growth, and it's going to help their roots start to establish without being impeded by any super heavy, compacted mix. When you've got your growing medium and you're ready to sow your seeds, you're at risk of making the next common seed starting mistake, and that is sowing your seeds at the improper depth. It's actually super important for seeds that they are buried at the right depth in order to germinate. If they're buried too deep, they might just never emerge. And if they're too shallow, some seeds actually require darkness in order to germinate. So if they're getting hit with any light, they're not going to sprout. The back of your seed packet will give you guidance on the depth at which you should be sowing your seeds. But you can also just think about it as 3 times the diameter of the seed is generally how deeply you want to sow them. Now, of course, some of these seeds are super tiny. And on the back of the pack, you'll see things like plant at a depth of 1/8 or 1/4 inch. In that case, you're not going to take a little seed and try to measure 3 diameters worth down in. So just use some decent judgment when you're sowing your seeds. You don't have to be perfect about the depth, but if you go way too deep, if something that requires 1/8 of an inch ends up getting sown 2 inches deep, chances are you're never going to see that seed sprout. So just make sure that you're being careful about how you sow your seeds. Now, you might find on the back of some of your seed packets, the seed depth guidance says surface sown. And that actually means that you don't bury the seeds at all. And why is that true for some of these plants? Well, some seeds need to be buried in order to germinate, and they germinate in the dark. Other seeds need light in order to germinate. So if you see anything that says surface sow on planting depth, you need to make sure that they are not covered up, that they literally are just on the surface of your growing medium. And you need to make sure that you're hitting them with a little bit of light, because that light combined with the contact with the soil and the moisture that you have in your growing medium is going to activate the seed to sprout. So I definitely recommend consulting the back of your seed packets for guidance on how deeply you should be sowing your seeds. It's going to save you a lot of frustration, and it'll start your seeds off on the right foot. Once your seeds are sown, you're going to be tempted to water, and that's okay, but you have to be careful not to make the next common seed starting mistake, which is overwatering your seeds. Seeds need moisture to germinate, but they also need oxygen. They need to be able to breathe beneath the soil's surface. But if you overwater your growing medium and it stays soggy all the time, your seeds are going to have a really tough time germinating, and they could even rot below the soil's surface. And this is why I recommend pre-moistening your seed starting mix before you sow your seeds. That's going to provide all the moisture that your seeds need in order to germinate. If it looks like the surface of your growing medium is a little bit dry, then you could always just take a water sprayer and lightly mist some water over the top of the soil's surface. But other than that, once your seeds are sown, you shouldn't be watering at all until after they germinate. If you pre-moisten the soil, then after you sow your seeds, you're not going to need to water. The idea is just to sow your seeds in the ideal conditions for them to germinate. And then once they germinate, then you can start your watering regimen. When it comes to germinating seeds, temperature matters a lot more than many gardeners realize, and that's how they end up making the next common seed starting mistake. They ignore the temperature. Seeds don't just need warmth, they need the right range of warmth. Too cool of soil, and they'll just sit there and not grow. Too hot, they'll struggle and could rot. It's also not one size fits all. Some cool season crops can germinate in soil temperatures down to 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Other crops, like your warm season crops, think tomatoes and peppers, need temperatures above 65 degrees Fahrenheit before they break dormancy and begin to germinate. And they actually prefer a range that's higher than that, about 80 to 85 degrees Fahrenheit. So how do we avoid making this mistake? Well, make sure that you understand the temperature requirements for germination of the plants that you're choosing to grow and adjust accordingly. But we have to take it a step further than that. When we talk about temperature requirements for germination, we're not talking about ambient temperature. We're talking about the soil's temperature. So keep in mind that your soil, because it's moistened, could actually be a few degrees cooler than the ambient room temperature. So how do we combat that? Well, one of the most straightforward ways to do it is to use a heating mat. And a heating mat, you can set it to any temperature that you want to, and you put your tray on top of the heating mat, and the heating mat will warm the tray from the bottom. And that means that it's going to be warming the soil. So you can have ambient temperatures of 65 degrees, but your soil can be heated to 80 degrees. And that's going to be perfect for some of your warm season crops. Now keep in mind that these soil temperatures are requirements for germination. So once your seeds sprout, you can remove the trays from the heating mat. They won't really need that anymore, and they'll do fine in just normal room temperature. Let us know which of these seed starting mistakes you've made, and if there are any that come to mind that didn't make the list. If you avoid making these mistakes, then seed starting becomes a lot less frustrating and a lot more rewarding. Happy growing!